Hello, welcome back to the channel. It's Natalie. I am playing with my favorite things stamp today, which is so sad that they've gone. They had so many cute images. I'm going to stamp it down with VersaFine ink. What is that stuff? VersaFine ink. I keep going like VersaFine Clear because I used that in another video recently, but I have. Don't yell at me for getting this wrong. Cobalt turquoise aquamarine, light aquamarine for my curtain. I'm just trying to make sure that it has a little bit of movement and a little bit of flow with it. So pretty much, and I'm going to deepen some of those folds in the curtain. Words are hard. This is actually like the fourth time I've done this video because my computer keeps crashing. So my husband came to my rescue and hopefully we're going to get a video that actually has some voiceover in the end. I am trying to make sure these curtains have a little bit of flow. So really, if you're going to have a curtain that is pulled off to the side, it's going to bunch in certain places. So I'm just trying to keep those. I feel like I'm out of practice with pencils. Does it sound crazy? Because I know I've done a few recently with pencils. But it's been, I think because there's been so much going on, I just have not had time to sit and just reacquaint myself. So pretty much that's what I'm trying to do. That's all there is to it, basically. I am trying to make sure that around the edges have a shadow because the wood from the frame is going to project a little bit back. And with the rest, we're just basically trying to give it a bit of movement, a bit of texture, basically, because it's not going to be a flat surface. Did I say that? I don't know if I said that. I've said that in another time I tried to do this video, but anywho, we were talking about my trip to England or trip over to Europe. There's been a lot of people, a lot of my friends, or my extended past friends, as in school friends and people like that, who've actually been overseas recently. So it seemed to be really the year for it. I mentioned I went over to England and saw my family, my cousins, aunts and uncles and that sort of thing. I didn't get to see one, but one out of quite a few. That's rather a bit cool. That's not too bad. It's not a bad track record. I didn't actually meet them. It was really weird. I actually, at my aunt's house, I stayed there for pretty much just over a week. Yeah, it was pretty much just over a week. And one of those days, just before I think my cousin got married, a family came around. And he used to hang out and play with my dad when they were younger. I don't know, but he didn't come in and sort of meet me or greet me or anything. So it was like, who's your, because my grandfather had quite a few brothers. There was six altogether. I've only met one. They all sort of passed away before I was born. And yeah, I thought it was really odd. I'd be like, I got to meet you, got to see family. Don't see family that's, usually over in another country. But anyway, each to their own. It's all good. It doesn't matter. But with my blues, we're using analogous colours today. So that is, if you don't know, that is where colours are sort of next to each other in the colour wheel, or a couple of, like if there's one or two shades in between, they're equally spaced in between each other. So we've got the blue green, we've got blue. So currently we're using the peacock blue, true blue and periwinkle. It's a cute name. And I'm going to bring in a yellow green. Is it exactly? Yeah, I suppose it is, because you got blue, green, blue, yellow, green. I am colouring my leaves here kelp green, apple green, and chartreuse. Because it's only a tiny little bit and I've got a frame and I didn't want it all being wood, I am going to bring that green up into my window frame. Pretty much I'm going to just have the corners a little bit darker, because sometimes they are, sometimes they're not, but I want a little bit of movement in this and a little bit of interest, so we're not going to colour it a flat space, because it's my card and that's what I'm going to do with it. So that was weird. I did find out there was something interesting that happened on the trays, actually, because unlike Australia, I told a client this the other day and she was like, what? So in England, if the trains are more than 15 minutes late, then you get some money back. I don't know, there's a percentage or what it is, I don't know, but you get some money back. We had a train, we jumped on the train after catching up with a cousin, the one that was getting married. We went into England we were in England, we went into London again, and she came in, which was lovely. And anyway, she decided that she was going to have dinner in the city. She was going to go home to her fiance, which is fine. And so we had some dinner and we had to leave past a certain point. If you come in on peak hour, you have to leave basically after, I think it was 7 p.m. I think so. But of course you have to go in before or after like 9 a.m. or something like that. I don't know, don't quote me. And let's go back to this. So my hair was dark umber, sienna, brown, and yellow ochre. I'm going to use a little bit of different browns on my pot and my window frame because I wanted to. And for my skin, we have clay rose, nectar, peach, and light peach. I quite like this combination, so we might see a little bit more of that coming up in the future. Anyway, we had dinner across from Victoria Station, I think it was. I don't know. Don't quote me again. And we walked in there and the guy heard our accent, and because my husband ordered a steak because he just decided he was going to try and see how they cook, because he's heard different things. And the guy was like, "You're Aussie?" He's like, "Yeah." "You don't want the steak. You don't want the steak. It's not for you." So we had, I can't remember what it was, but we had something very, very nice. Anywho, we went to get on the train and there was no platform. So I was like, okay, we'll just sit here for a little bit. You got to wash your bags, pickpocketers, all that sort of thing. And sat there. We finally got on a train and they're like, sweet, okay, if you're going to one place, then you need to get off this train at such and such Gatwick Airport, and you'll get onto the next train that goes to that place. If you're going to where we were going, down towards Worthing, you stay on this train. We're like, okay, sweet, easy, no problem, missed on. No. We then got towards Gatwick and they sort of said, no, if you're going to Worthing, you need to get off and go to get on this train to go wherever. We'll come back to that. I'm going to cut out my window, the inside of my window, so we're going to have a little bit of depth. I am going to completely ignore the window lock and also where her hair sort of comes out from her pigtails. There we go. I have a black marker and I'm just going to go around the edges. You do this from behind because, as you just saw, I slipped and you would cry if you do this on the wrong side. This just finishes it off and gives it a nice cut dark edge, so there's no white showing on our image. Next I'm going to mask it. I've just got some Eclipse masking paper there. This is an Altenew Narrow Bricks stencil, and I'm using Pumice Stone, and I'm just sort of starting on the stencil and working left and right sort of action, and just making a little bit darker around the edges. I'm just working that. We don't want to, I'm using left and right sort of movement because I don't want to lift up the stencil. I want a nice crisp edge. I have warm grey 70%, 50% and 20%, and this is just going to go around the edges and give it a little bit more depth to the background. I'm not going to show you the whole lot because I don't want to bore you, and I don't have that much to talk about. But mostly I just don't want to bore you, and I'm conscious of your time. So anyway, we got to, I think it was Gatwick, and they said, oh, go over to that platform. So we go over that platform and just chatting away to some people because, that's what we do. And everyone just suddenly left. And we're like, what is going on? It's a mass exodus. And the people we're with saying, stay here, we'll go across there, we'll work it out, and then we'll tell you. Okay. I have trimmed this down with a rectangle die. Now I have also put the stencil back on and added more color to the top and the bottom of my panel there. What you saw me do there is just roughly eyeball we're going to do some inking and some blending and everything else. I just wanted to make sure that I did not go outside my area. So I've more marked it all down. We're going to use a little bit of mint tape. So I'm going to be using Stormy Sky, but I'm going to come in first with some Pumice Stone because I thought, that might be nice. I didn't like it. I did not like it whatsoever. You don't see too much of it. Where's the card? You don't see too much of it, but I just thought, it's not too bad. But I wanted it a little bit deeper, and I wanted a little bit more blue because we've only got that tiny bit of blue in our top. So I'm going to bring in the Stormy Sky and go around the background again with that. So anyway, as it turns out, they're like, no, come over here. So we went over to their platform, and I'm just not doing too much here, but went over to their platform, and then after a bit they said, no, go over to that platform, and then we got basically delayed. Short version of this whole story is we got delayed for an hour and a half, and we got something like £22 back, and each ticket cost about £22. So I don't know whether it's 22, we got the whole ticket back each. No, probably not, because we'd already gone in one way, we used half of it. So basically we got the one whole ticket refunded to me. There was varying problems. There was, unfortunately, sadly, someone was hit by a train at one place. There was a fault in a train at something else. And then there was another complete different problem somewhere else yet again. So who knows? I don't know. But it was rather a bit nice. So I have finished all my ink blending on the center. I've got this sentiment here that says, I can't wait to hug you, but it's a one big long stretch. I am not one of those people that cuts up my stamp. I cannot put them back together for the life of me. Just saying. It's not happening. So in order to do that, I'm going to do a little bit of masking. So I've got some mint tape here again. Adding my color, you need to make sure that you remove that before you go to stamp it because you will cry. And then we're going to clean it off and do the same, make sure it's dry. and do the same with the other side. Reposition it and mask it so it is down the bottom underneath my hug. Now, I did not dry this well enough, I'm going to tell you, because there is a little bit of you can see there, it's like, but it's okay. You and I know about it, but we're going to fix it. We're not going to start this baby again. It's just, it's an opportunity for a creative license. That's what I think. And that's what I'll keep to. But so we have stamped that down again. I'm going to let that dry because I don't want to go in. I don't want to smudge it. We don't want to ruin all our hard work just quite yet. So I'm going to go back in with those warm grey pencils again. It was still needed a little bit more drying. That's all dried off. I'm going to show you the technique I do for bricks. So it's small, so it's going to be a little bit hard to see, but I am going to, on either corner, so the bottom left corner and the top right, I'm going to add my darkest color, and then using just flicking motions, I'm going to flick the other colors into the center. So it's just going to highlight the left and right edges. Down the bottom here, I did have to sort of figure out where my edges were, but that's okay. It's all good. So just a little bit of color up in and it's usually like a little bit of an L shape or an upside down L shape, depending on the corner, obviously, that you're working on. And then flick it into the middle. Then using the next color, flick it into the middle. I'm going to do that. Hopefully you might see it a bit better with you. So a little bit flick. These are very long bricks. So yeah, and then from back to London on about the 31st of August, met up with my aunt and uncle in there again, because who knows how long it was going to be before we get to see them again. And then we headed over to Paris. Paris is gorgeous. It's just, everyone has to go there once, even if you don't like it later on. I don't know why, because I loved it. You have to go there. Meeting quite a few different people, experiencing the whole scene of scammers and pickpocketers, and being very aware of that sort of thing. I'm just using a white gel pen here because I think I must have gone over or like the black didn't quite work sort of thing, or I got a little bit, not really the black didn't work, but I got a little bit carried away elsewhere. I'm going to bring in a black gel pen just for the eyes a little bit, and just to fix up those black, that's what I was talking about, the black didn't quite stamp in places. I used the white to hide anything that I didn't particularly want to be seen. We hide it. I have some foam tape here. We're going to raise this panel up, and I'm going to come in with, I'm going to add my background after this, and then we're going to come in with a little bit of Marina Mist, which is the old Stampin' Up cardstock that I've had for donkeys, but it's really pretty and I've got it, so I'm going to use it. Yeah, to experience the scammers and just the scammers basically, and the pickpocketers. I don't want to experience it, the pickpocketers, so to speak, but I actually picked out a group that I'm 99% sure was pickpocketers. No doubt there was others around, but you have to be super careful of your belongings. And it's really sad that these people do this. But I think that this is how they've been brought up and taught, that there's not the welfare system that some other countries have. That's what I believe. I may be wrong, but that's my understanding. So we'll come back to that. This is the background that we've sponged. Now I am going to trim it all down because I decided that I did it on the cardstock, obviously, but we're going to trim it down because I thought it just, when I put it onto the cardstock, it just needed something else behind it. So the benefit of that is you can place it exactly where you want, and you're going to trim it down now, so it doesn't matter that I really masked it off or anything as it was. But, you know, it's a work in progress. That's what I say. Yeah, scammers, people just, they seem to come out in the morning and they want you to sign something. And I had it a couple of times, and in the end, we didn't have any cash. And I'm like, we don't have any cash. And they'll literally take the pen out of your hand because they've been sprung. You know what I mean? So I find it very interesting and very sad because I don't know their background. Who knows? But my understanding is that, yeah, they've just been taught from a young age that this is how they earn their money. And yeah, I don't know. I'm no expert in the whole situation. I did go up to the top of the Eiffel Tower. What a structure. I mean, holy smoke. What a structure. It was only actually meant to be up for 20 years. I can't remember exactly why, but that's when they built it. It was only meant to be there for 20 years. I'm using a fine tip pen just to add in my hair. As I said, I'm not worried about the lock. It's a small detail that we don't need to worry about. I'm going to glue that down on my piece of merino mist. And pretty much that's going to be it. There's only a few more things that we're going to do to this card. So I'm quite proud of myself that I went up to the top. So if you're not scared of heights, you're pretty much like, it's something I highly recommend to do. Anywho, I've adhered that down to my base card, and now I'm coming in with a little bit of glossy accents. We're going to cut off some of this. You don't need to see me try and fill in my glossy accents. Basically where the curtain is, I've added that just for a bit of shine because it's meant to be a behind window, and it's only in that top part above the little girl's head. I have some confetti sequins here, and I'm just figuring out my position. Paris, of course, has now had, we didn't go to the Louvre. There's just too many things to do, and we were in the city rather than going out. So it was gorgeous. It was gorgeous. I'd go back there tomorrow if I could, but I can't, so I won't. Anyhow, that's pretty much our cards for today. It's been a rambling type of video with lots of problems, but I will talk to you very soon. Have a great day and see you later. Bye.